Comrades, today I thought I should start here. Ke khopotse Mary Tanzan. She was an incredible woman who brought us up. For some reason, today I am inspired by her resilience, her determination never to betray the National Democratic Revolution. If you think about it, she was detained, banned, tortured, and torched 4 times. While she was going through all this trauma, she was able to look after us, the children of the liberation movement, in particular in the township of Soweto. She understood what it meant to run an underground operation and at the same time mobilize society and comrades. Just before she got married to Ntate Lawrence Nzanga in 1956, she was the secretary of the Railway Workers' Union. Her task was to mobilize workers, increase members, and collect membership fees. Women generally spend a year to plan for their wedding, but Mary Dada never had the opportunity to plan properly for her wedding, because balancing politics and starting a family must have been a daunting task. We must never forget that in the same year, she played her part in organizing the Women's March to the Union Building. I'm remembering her warmth, motherly and revolutionary nature to always protect us. Women possesses this amazing protection skills. It has no ego, but lots of love. Try attack any baby or cub that is next to its mother. You will be dealt with so quickly. Mary Dada and her comrades like Mama Winnie Mandela, Mayor Togo Ngoma, Mama Martha Dlamini, and Mayor Joyce Sikakane really did an amazing job to protect us. Their protection came with political education. If you think about most of us who were youth activists in Soweto, we received our umkhabula from women like Mary Dada. By the time 1956 and beyond happened, we were ready for anything, including changing the world. We had fire in our bellies. I wonder if today we still have fire in our bellies, or we are on autopilot that is driven by the political economy of the stomach. Program Director, Deputy Chair of our region. 2024 must be an upside-down Lula moment. I am referring to this not in the context of the Labour Party winning elections, but in the context of understanding what makes a good leader. The Socialist President, Luis Inácio Lula da Silva, is a political figure not to be ignored. He is experienced and challenged. He failed, he learned, and came back victorious. This is an incredible political story. The ability to look at your challenges and tell yourself that is not how this story is going to end is an art in itself. We must learn from it. Lula captured 61% of the total vote and carried all but one Brazilian's 27 states. This is a Brazilian revolutionary story of success. Why do I think that 2024 is our upside-down Lula moment? Our election performance and outcomes were not good, but we managed to save South Africa from chaos and disruption. Instead of us experiencing the Lula moment, our electorate experienced the moment. The 2024 election outcomes reflect South Africa's politics today. The revolution is not over. We're in the middle of a political setback. Our task is to stay in our lane and focus on the task. Like Lula, President Ramaphosa remained calm and led us to where we are today. Comrades, we have two options. Do we continue failing, or do we reset and or rebuild the ANC? This is a critical question. Perhaps we must do a diagnostic report in preparation for the 2026 election. This diagnostic report must help us to click the reset button and gear us for a victory in 2026. We must flip this Lula moment. The political realignment of local government is not about ANC regaining the mayoral seat. It is about regaining our strategic importance and power so that we can win the hearts and minds of people we serve. We exist to serve and not to serve ourselves. The Chief Whip of the ANC and Chief Whip of Council, and perhaps both Chief Whips, out of all the 81 hung council or coalition arrangements throughout the country, they are at risk as a result, or rather with the emergence of all these strange political formations, which will therefore lead to by-elections, or rather, by-elections are going to become a constant feature in our lives. And we all know running a by-election is not easy. Therefore, how we realign becomes very important. The best amongst us lead the establishment of government in a peaceful manner. So, comrades, we must accept and congratulate the negotiating team that was led by the Secretary General, Comrade Fikile Mbalula. The task they were involved in was not easy. Furthermore, that the ANC Lekgotla welcomed and supported the statement of intent. As we reset and realign, we must internalize its principles and the basic minimum programs of priority. Perhaps let me pause at this stage, Comrade Chair, and request that we put our phones away in front of our hands and our hands away from our phones.
These ones.
A culture, not this one. This one, the one you are I thought it was important that perhaps Comrade Chair and Deputy Chair and Regional Secretary, we are now forced to introduce the new culture as part of resetting. That once we meet as this collective, we'll put our gadgets away so that it allows us to concentrate on the task at hand. Because the hopes of at least 6 million people are on us. Deputy Chair, the basic minimum program of priorities as articulated in the statement of intent states the following. 1. Rapid, inclusive and sustainable economic growth. The promotion of fixed capital investment and industrialization. Job creation, transformation, livelihood support, land reform, infrastructure development, structural reforms and transformational change, fiscal sustainability, and the sustainable use of our national resources and endowments. Macroeconomic management must support national development goals in a sustainable manner. We are bounded by this statement of intent to ensure that this minimum program and priorities are achieved. We are located in the city of Johannesburg, and one of the key areas to improve on the work that we do is to attract capital investment into the city of Johannesburg, is to ensure fiscal sustainability and improve the financial positions of the city of Johannesburg. It is our responsibility also to respond to economic growth and job creation. The second point refers to creating a more just society by tackling poverty, spatial inequalities, food security and the high cost of living, providing a social safety net, improving access to and the quality of basic services, and protecting workers' rights. In the city of Johannesburg, where we are responsible, we have the responsibility to ensure that we tackle poverty, we ensure food security, and contribute towards reducing the cost of living, and most importantly, ensure the provision of basic services such as water, electricity, and waste removal. 3. Stabilizing local government, effective cooperative governance, the assignment of appropriate responsibilities to different spheres of government, and review of the role of traditional leadership in the governance framework. Before we get a shock of our lives, it is time that this leadership begins to assess and examine the impact of traditional leadership in urban areas. Something that for the longest of time we have never given attention. And this REC therefore has a responsibility to look at traditional leadership governance framework, especially in our areas and in our wards, and in the main, in what we termed hostels. And in fact, this area has shown a significant increase in the number of townships in Ivory Park, in Alexander, in Soweto. We are now seeing strong emergence of traditional governance framework that is emerging. 4 speaks to investing in people through education, skills development, and affordable quality healthcare. This brings me to the point that education may not necessarily be a core function of the municipality. However, childhood care remains a responsibility of local government. But over and above, these activities happen within our municipality, and any wrongs and failures in the education system in Johannesburg, we have a responsibility as this leadership and this government to respond to everything that happens within our municipal boundaries. We can no longer fold our arms when young children bring guns and all sorts of weapons into the school premises. It is our responsibility as local government, in partnership with our provincial government, to respond to these particular challenges. I wouldn't speak about Mboro, so don't think of it. Building state capacity and creating professional, merit-based or corruption-free and developmental public service, restructuring and improving state-owned entities to meet our national development goals. Where we are governing, we have a responsibility to improve the work that is done by our municipal-owned entities to ensure that the goals or the objectives at which they were created for, they deliver on that mandate. The reasons why we created municipal entities was to ensure that we can fast-track service delivery. It is therefore our responsibility, and this REC Lekgotla, that we give focus to the role that our entities are playing in as far as addressing service delivery and, of course, addressing these key priorities. Let us also strengthen the public service, or rather what we refer to the administration of the city. Strengthening law enforcement agencies to address crime, corruption, and gender-based violence, as well as strengthening national security capabilities. And in this case, we have a task to ensure law enforcement in the city of Johannesburg. Strengthening the effectiveness of our governance structures, council, the legislature, and oversight functions. 8. Strengthening social cohesion, nation building and democratic participation, and undertaking common programs against racism, sexism, tribalism, and other forms of intolerance. This leadership must accept certainly that as you move and walk in Ward 67, at the center of the inner city, population dynamics suggests that you would find more Nigerians, Congolese, Ugandans, and a very small population of South African citizens. And REC Lekgotla must begin to interact with how we understand, embrace the nature of us being a metropolitan city. Comrade Chair, Deputy Chair, I always ask this question, that none of our policemen and women in uniform can speak any of the foreign African languages. And the challenge is for us to deal with crime. And you can have all your suspects here. Before they write their statements, they can plan what they are going to say in front of you without you even hearing what they are saying. It might be a culture shock to suggest to this REC that if we are serious about fighting crime in Ward 67, we have no option. But those that are properly documented, with proper documents, can be recruited to the Johannesburg Metropolis Department. Foreign policy based on human rights, constitutionalism, national interest, solidarity, peaceful resolution of conflicts to achieve the African Agenda 2063, South-South and North-South and African cooperation, multilateralism, and a just, peaceful, and equitable world. Now, these are the 9 core priorities that the Statement of Intent has committed the government of the Republic of South Africa. Therefore, Comrade Chair, this program brings us closer to our growth and development strategy, Joburg 2040. If we add the implementation of the district development model, Joburg 2040 may be a reality by 2030. This equation sounds like developmental local government to me. Our theory of change depends on our ability to change our mindset and channel our energies in areas that matters. Johannesburg is indeed in trouble. Service delivery is breaking down. Finances are at risk, and the workforce is not motivated. When you reach a stage where JMPD joins society to be managed by Nyaupe at a failed traffic crossing, this is not normal. And this cannot be a normal. We must normalize being a world class at all times. This means doing the basics but accelerating developmental outcomes. To our leagues, in the spirit of closing off the Women's Month, we must be relevant to the youth of South Africa. One thing I notice and appreciate about today's youth is that they are not tribalistic, nor do they care about our township battles. Soweto versus Alexander means nothing to the youth. All they want is economic inclusion. And this inclusion must happen and happen now. We have the power now to control the levers of power, and we should channel these resources to respond to inclusion or inclusivity. Unlike us, they are not afraid of learning. We paused our education as a result of the struggle for national liberation so that freedom can happen. They are doing both at the same time. If you don't believe me, please read the story. Read the story about Major Mandisa Mfeka. Major Mandisa Mfeka is a major in the Air Force of the Republic of South Africa. And Major Mfeka, the Tantusa Lelimlakale Mfeka, who advocates for gender equality and an empowerment in aviation. She is known to be the first black female combat pilot in South Africa. Major Mfeka in 2011, she earned her wings which enabled her, together with other female pilots, they took to the skies and flew one of the 5 SA Air Force Hawk Mk-120 aircraft over the Loftus Versfeld Stadium in Pretoria during the president's inauguration. When Major Mandisa Mfeka is asked, what keeps you motivated daily? She had this to say, I quote, "It's the deep echo that I am not where I want to be yet. I keep striving to grow and learn on a continuous basis. That is what keeps me motivated. I like to say, I quote, "The sky is the baseline," close quote, which means that the excellence bar that was pushed yesterday should be your starting point for tomorrow. I am inspired by Major Mandisa Mfek. This REC has an excellent benchmark, and this benchmark must be our starting point for tomorrow. Let me conclude and summarize that we have entered a very difficult and challenging terrain, a terrain of managing complex political coalitions and political arrangements with a view of maintaining stability in our country and in our city. It will continue to bring contradictions within our membership and our ranks to an extent at which ourselves as leaders of the ANC in this region will not be able to collectively lead unless we commit ourselves to the constitution of the ANC, allow ourselves as leaders of this region to put aside all what makes us not to progress and find what will make us to prosper and progress. In my own understanding, finding what will make us progress is easy, and that is the people of Johannesburg. If you understand we are elected here to serve those people, it will help us therefore to progress. Deputy Chair, the Chair of the session, it is out of these words that I believe that if all of us can be inspired by Major Mandisa Mfek, we have a long way to go in making Johannesburg a better place. A better place because we want Johannesburg to be counted amongst the best cities in the world. And for us to do this, it means this collective must put the eye on the ball. And let us not drop the ball. Thank you, Comrade Chair.